ball is locked!
Hey everyone, Crow here, and in this video I'll be talking about the Devil Riders Deluxe single table DLC release for Zaccaria Pinball. There's actually been a flood of DLC releases for Zaccaria Pinball recently, and I've been out of pocket for a while, so now I'm about 5 DLC packs behind, which contain a total of 14 tables. Not totally related to that, I've decided to make a change in how I create these videos, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but the big change is that I'll be making these videos based on each DLC pack and not each individual table. And also, I'll no longer be including full game playthroughs in these type of videos. I was kind of thinking about it, and it's not really necessary since I post the game footage on my second channel anyway. Oh yeah, in case you didn't know, I do have a second channel called Crow Capture, which just contains gameplay footage with no commentary. So if you're really looking for just straight up gameplay videos, that's where you should head. So let's get back on track. Devil Riders Deluxe is a single table DLC for Zaccaria Pinball that was released on October 16th, 2025 and goes for $4.99 USD on Steam. I don't know about any of the other platforms because I really don't look at them. The only thing I can say is that of the making of this video, this table is not available on the AtGames Legends Pinball 4K. Like usual, I did not pay for this table as I was provided a code from Magic Pixel. Oh, and before I go any further, I want to mention that I'm looking at these tables in VR as well, since I can do that now. There's a VR DLC available for $14.99 USD that lets you play anything you have access to in Zaccaria Pinball in VR, and though I've had that particular DLC for a really long time, I somewhat recently got a MetaQuest 3 and figured out how to connect it to my PC and capture footage, so some of the footage in these videos going forward may be from that. But enough beating around the bush. Let's get on with
Devil Riders Deluxe.
So since this is a deluxe table, there are a few things that we'd expect to see. This uses the same video display for scoring and animations, and there's usually some sort of animated figure on the table. In this case, it's the Devil Rider himself kneeling in the back, and yes, he does interact with the ball at times. There are a lot of other inanimate objects decorated around the table, such as the dirt bike, some tires, there's an exhaust covering the left return lane. I think that might be a toolkit on the right side, and there's various tools and parts laying around the apron. I feel a problem with a lot of the deluxe tables is that they're overbuilt. And what I mean by that is that there will be a ton of ramps, multiple elevated play fields, flippers everywhere on the table, and this would cause the table to be very claustrophobic and confusing to play. I feel like the most recent deluxe tables have been correcting this issue, and Devil Riders Deluxe does fall into this category. There's only a couple strange things on the table that stick out to me, and one of them is the left ramp, which immediately contorts into a loop. And I guess the only reason it seems odd to me is because I don't believe I've ever seen anything like that on a real pinball machine. I'm not sure exactly why that would be, but it's here and it works just fine in the game, I guess. There's something else on this table that's a little strange, and it may not be immediately noticeable, but there's a completely self-contained mini playfield just off to the right of the right ramp. This is really unusual for a deluxe table because I would almost expect them to put it under the table or somewhere else elevated, but I think I like it where it is. It does cut down on the real estate on the playfield, but it also makes the table seem less complicated by keeping things uncluttered. Now, when I first started playing this table, I was immediately confused as to what was going on. On the first ball launch, you immediately hear, "Booster mode! Complete objectives to boost your gameplay!" And what that really means is that there's a special mode that's only active for the first 60 seconds of the game, where you can try and earn bonuses that will remain active for the rest of the entire game. Like if you could hit the spinner a certain amount of times, then your bonus value will always start at ×2. The one I always try to do is hit the pop bumpers until the eject hole lights, and then when you hit the eject hole, start mode will always be active, which is kind of confusing when it's announced because it just means you could start the process to start a mode, and yeah, that's confusing, but I'll get into that in a second. The nice thing about booster mode though is if you lose the ball before it ends, the mode just ends and you'll get the ball back, like the game is just starting again without booster mode. So once booster mode is over and the game starts like normal, how do you start a mode? Well, there are a row of 5 standing targets that spell out track, T-R-A-C-K. Every time you hit one, that letter stays lit. Once you hit all 5 letters, start mode will light. Then you need to hit any of the 5 track targets and nothing will happen. This is another thing that confused me quite a bit. Once start mode is lit, you need to hit any of the track targets 5 times before the first mode will activate.
Novice League, let's kickstart the madness!
Then, when that mode is completed, you'll need to hit the track targets 10 times before the second mode will activate, and then 15 times for the third and final mode. I'm pretty sure this information is displayed on the video screen, but it's something I never really saw since I'm not really looking at the video screen all the time. Anyway, to tie this in with the booster mode, if during booster mode you hit the pop bumpers enough times and then the eject hole and earn the reward that start mode is always lit,
Booster activated! Start mode is always lit!
then you don't have to spell track before hitting the track targets enough times to start a mode. Basically, you get to skip the first step in activating a mode. In addition to the 3 regular modes, there are 4 mini modes that are activated simply by hitting the eject hole as long as another mode isn't already active.
Block pass minigame!
And that's simple enough, but now the way to get multi-ball in this table is a bit baffling to me. First, you've got to light all 3 lap targets. Then, when you hit the right ramp, the Devil Rider will grab the ball and throw it in a box.
Ball is locked!
Then you get told that hitting slingshots will activate multi-ball. Now, I don't know what it is with these deluxe tables having tasks that involve hitting slingshots. Slingshots are not something you could really aim for. Not only that, you usually don't want the ball to hit slingshots because that throws the ball out of your control. But get this, multi-ball doesn't start until the slingshots are activated 20 times. Multi-ball! Now that just seems really silly to me, especially when you hear how to activate the mini play field. After one ball is locked, if you hit the lap targets again and then the right ramp again, instead of getting a ball lock, you'll activate the self-contained mini playfield where you can rack up a good amount of points and an extra ball if you can complete it. The thing is, if you're going for that mini playfield and you wind up hitting the slingshots too many times, multi-ball will start instead, and you'll have to wait for the ball to be locked again before you can try for the mini playfield again. And on the topic of losing progress, that's something I feel is a problem for these deluxe tables, and this one is no different. To give you an idea of what I mean, if you hit all 3 lap targets but drain the ball before hitting the right ramp, all of the lap targets reset on your next ball. Another example is if you're trying to start the second mode and you've hit the track targets 9 times but then lose the ball, well, that resets too on your next ball. And it's the same thing for the number of times you need to hit the slingshots before multi-ball starts. I just don't know why your progress on most things reset in between balls. All this does is make me reset the game if I don't complete anything on my first ball, since I'll have absolutely no progress made when my second ball starts. It's also a downside to booster mode. If booster mode ends and I didn't get any rewards, most of the time I'll just reset the game and try again. Now, after I got over all the confusion on how this table worked, I actually couldn't stop playing this one. Especially when I was playing in VR, because with a little depth added, it's a lot easier to keep track of the ball. And I guess that goes for every table, not just this one. I personally have nothing against the table artwork, though I'm pretty sure it was AI generated. I know some people despise this, but it seems fine to me. I usually don't really pay that much attention to the background music of these tables, but this one really caught my ear this time. Unfortunately, the callouts in this table are absolutely terrible. Whoever they got to do them really has no business doing voiceovers of any kind. What? And with that, I'll wrap it up. See you next time when I'll be looking at the Primal Carnage Table Pack.